Hey, welcome back to fthe Kids again. My name's Danny, I'm one of the founders at fthe Kids. I'm an outdoor educator and I'm also a storyteller. If this is your first time at fthe Kids, be sure to check out our website at webekids.net, where you'll find lots and lots and lots of videos of storytelling and nature art and yoga and nature activities, all designed to help you out into nature so you can improve your well-being. Today, I've come up into the woods because I wanted to tell you a story. Now, it's a beautiful, beautiful night up here in the woods. You can see the sun shining through just behind up here. This story isn't from this land. This story is an old folk tale that comes all the way from China. And you see, many, many, many years ago in China, there lived a great emperor. And the great emperor ruled his lands in a kind and loving way, and he was well liked by many, many people. But the emperor had never had a family. He'd never had a wife, and he had never had any children. And he was getting older and older. And he knew that he would have to pass on the empire to somebody else. So he decided on a task. He wanted to find a child that he could make the next emperor, the next leader of China. So he sent out a message across all of the lands, and he asked all the children to come to the palace. And on this lovely day, thousands and thousands of children arrived. They filled the whole of the palace gardens, and the emperor stood up in front of them. He said, "This is the day when I invite you all to become an emperor. One of you will take over all of this empire. But if you are to be chosen, you must first of all pass my test." And all the children were nervous, a nervous excitement. And the emperor held up a bag. He said, "In this bag, there are thousands of seeds. I will give each of you a seed. You must take it home, put it in a pot with some soil and take care for it. And in a year's time, I will call you all back and I will inspect your pots. And on that inspection, I will decide who will be the next emperor." So we walked along and he handed each of the children a seed. It took all day. It was a lot of seeds. And by the end of the day, the sun had gone down and all the children left the palace. And there was one child called Ling. He took his seed home. He told his mother about the test, and his mother helped him find a nice pot. They filled it with soil and they planted the seed and they watered the seed. And they kept watching the seed, waiting for it to sprout. Each day they would water it. They sat it in a nice sunny spot, but nothing ever appeared. He continued day after day. He even spoke to the seed, encouraged it to grow, but still nothing. One day he was out with all of his friends and they were talking about how wonderful their plants were, how tall they were growing and how strong they were becoming. But Ling's didn't shoot at all. And the days turned to weeks and the weeks turned to months. And after about 6 months, they all got together to show off their plants. Some pots were so full, they had great plants with flowers. But Ling's was still bare soil. But he tried and tried and tried. Nothing happened. And then the call came from the emperor. A year had passed, and all the children must return to the palace with their pots and their plants. Now Ling spoke to his mother He didn't want to go. He said, I can't go. The emperor will think that I am lazy. The emperor will think that I haven't taken care of my seed when I have. Every day I have watered it and talked to it and sat it in the sun. I'm not lazy. His mother said, you must go. The emperor has asked you to go, so you must go. Be brave. Take your pot and show the emperor. So reluctantly, Ling did. He got the pot under his arm and he joined the great procession of all the children heading for the palace. And when he arrived at the palace, they were all stood in a huge circle with the emperor in the middle. The plants looked amazing. Some had great big flowers. Some had berries and other fruits. Some even had nuts on them. But Ling just stood there with his empty pot. And the emperor went around and he looked and he inspected all of the plants. And when he got to Ling's, he looked down at it and he asked him, what's happened here? And Ling was embarrassed. He said, I tried my best. I did as you said. I put the seed in the soil and into the pot and I've watered it. I even spoke to it, but nothing has grown. But please be assured that I am not lazy. I've tried my best. And with that, the emperor nodded his head and he went on. And all day he went from person to person and plant to plant to inspect them. And as the day started to come to an end, he stood in front of them all. He said, I have inspected all of the plants that each of you have brought. But there is one person that I would like to bring special attention to. And Ling began to shrink in his skin. Surely you wouldn't call on him. The emperor said, Ling, come forward with your plant. And Ling stepped into the centre of the circle, holding his plant with bare earth and nothing else in it. All the other children began to laugh and point. Ling had never been so embarrassed in all of his life. And the emperor said, 1 year ago, I gave you all a seed. I asked you to take that seed, plant it in a pot of soil, and water it, and then return. And all the children nodded their heads. And Ling stood there looking sheepish. And the emperor said, but what I didn't tell you is that every single one of those seeds had been boiled to the point where nothing at all could grow. And that is why when I look across here, there is only one person who I can choose to be the emperor, and that is Ling. Because the leadership that is required to run an empire is one where we prioritize courage and integrity over proud displays. And with that, all the children realized what had happened. They turned and they carried their pots home, and Ling remained with the emperor. And the emperor taught Ling the ways of the palace and the ways of the empire. So I hope you liked that little story. The Emperor's Seed, a folk tale from China, carries with it a great message as well, doesn't it? This idea that leadership is about integrity and courage. So I'll leave that little story with you. I hope you enjoyed it. All that I ask is that you share the stories far and wide so we can keep this art of oral storytelling going. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.